On the GameFace Division 1 footy show tonight, live from the beautiful Red Hill as they get ready for Division 2 second semi. We'll talk about that later. The final five, it's all settled. We'll tell you how it happened. Aretha Aspendale shot, they've fallen away badly in the last month of the season. And the Eagles, they've limped into an elimination final and they keep going. A thrilling draw between YCW and Mount Eliza. A magnificent end by Mount Eliza after a terrible start. Seaford finished on the bottom of the ladder in First Division. That would normally mean relegation, but will it? We'll have the latest on that. There'll be an announcement maybe from Bond Beach about their coach for next season. And we'll also tell you where the grand final footy show is going to be in Division 1 and talk about a young gun who came from nowhere to win the Under-19 Goal Kicking Award. Great to be here. Dan Lonigan, Chris Holcomb's with me. Paul Wilson is filling in for Tony Blackford, who's out on the road with Glenn Carter tonight doing interviews. Great to be here, gentlemen. Finals underway in Division 1. Finals have started in Division 2. It was a great weekend of footy.
Oh, it's exciting, mate. Welcome, we'll say.
Thank you, Holks and Dan. Good to be here again.
Good to be here.
Yep. Had a session. I think you filled in for me last time at Jerome.
Yes, you went overseas to some of your trips, mate, and had a ball, I heard.
Yeah,
so I'll fill in today. I'll try and do my best for Blackers there, but you'll be the main man with Dan. With Dan, the main man.
But he's right. But he's right. It's finals time.
It is.
Yep. Calling out, and I think the best thing about it, Dan, is that we've got the 5 best sides. I don't think that there's an unlucky team that missed out at all. I think that you've got the 5.
But is there one making up the numbers? I mean, I know Bombers weren't good enough, and I know Bomb Beach weren't good enough. Edithvale, Aspendale fallen away badly.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So what you got to do if they're falling away badly? Who did they lose to on the weekend?
Serena
by 10 points.
But what was the score at half time?
Yeah, Serena
6-7, 43 to 1-6-12.
Yeah, and they've come
their
back
inability to kick goals
by 10, but they've probably lost by 10 points to the best side by 2 games all year. Last week, who did they lose to? Mount Eliza. How much did they lose by? It's about 10 points again.
Comfortably.
And Mount Eliza in form and going okay.
22 points it was.
It's not like they're making up numbers. It's just they haven't got the job done that we thought that they were going to do. Remember we threw down the challenge last week and said they're going to get it done.
Well, they don't kick enough goals. It's like YCW. I mean, that'll be a real slog. We'll talk more about that shortly. The elimination final, Paul, because of the fact that YCW struggled to kick goals. They were very good against Mount Eliza for 3 quarters and got overrun in the end, and the scores were level. There's my phone again. It always happens to ring. We'll just keep going. We're going to keep going. I'll see who it is. I'm going to see who it is.
He's always got the phone.
It's actually the ex, but I'll call her later.
Better, boys.
I'm sure it's nothing major. I'm sure it's nothing major. I might get the coach, my producer, to ring it back for me in a minute. Just to make sure everything is all right. Even when
magic phone.
Even when your ex rings you, you've still got to make sure that you smooth everything out. Fair again, that is 3 weeks in a row. I've got the hat trick. People ring me
looking for the quaddy leg
times, don't
looking for the quaddy leg.
They don't want me all day, and then when we start working, they all want me. I'm the most popular man in the world from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Before then, you wouldn't want me for love or money. But anyway, moving right along, Jody, I'll call you back later. I'll get the coach to organise that first. He can sort of soften the blow for me. But look, it was a good effort by Mount Eliza against Frankston YCW in the end to find a way to get a draw. But again, it's Frankston YCW's inability to score which will make this a real arm wrestle, I would have thought, on the weekend.
They haven't had much of a forward line all year, and they still try to manbyfacture those goals. Their defence is so good. They got BJ Credlin back this week. They had Lockie Wallace back this week. Byron Barry and Ongarello are just holding down that. You don't have to score a heap of goals.
No.
So it's going to be a good game.
It was I was there watching the game there. It was very windy conditions, very windy. There was sometimes the ball was going towards the Wellerink Road and the ball was going up and coming back. And it was just, Mount Eliza would never look like, to be honest, to be winning. And that's the last quarter. Let's come home strong.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of players from YC had a shot for goal. The wind just blew it away with a minute to go.
Yeah.
And I think the last 3 or 4 minutes, there was no score at all. The ball went up and back, 3 minutes time, and no one scored. And
that's what you want. And if we're going to get that in the finals, Paul, it'll be terrific.
It was great. And there was some talk about the score wasn't right at the time. So they were talking who's winning. So then goal umpires got there as they do, and they get their pens and tut. And they finally put the flags up and made it official. Well, it was a big cheer for the Mount Eliza guys because they thought they were 1 point down with a couple of minutes to go. And in the end, it was a draw. So they were both happy that they both got there in the finals, YCW and Mount Eliza. They were happy to finish second too, so with the points there too. So
they've got to play Pines, who thrashed Bond Beach. Disappointing end for Bond Beach.
Yeah.
They've dropped their last two. A couple of weeks ago, we were thinking they could be an outside chance for the finals, but lost to Seeper, which was poor, and got well and truly pantsed by the most informed team in the comp, who, after scores were level at quarter time, normally, Chris, they belt teams, and then they might put the cue in the rack a bit, but they were level at quarter time and then got going, so that's a great sign for them as well. And Aaron Edwards kicked 7 to win the goal, kicking comfortably by 13 goals. He finished with 59.
They've been impressive, but we said from Bomb Beach from the start that because they left that run so late, everything had to go right from 100% of the time, and when you have a little hiccup, that's the end of your season. Pines, on the other hand, they can go in with a lot of confidence, and I think we'll probably talk about it later, but the fact that you're playing at Mornington on a smaller ground against a side that likes to get on the outside and run is going to be a huge advantage for Pines. And Edwards only needs to get 10 kicks to kick 7 goals. That's all he needs.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player. He's going to be very hard to stop. It'll be fascinating how he goes in the finals. He's so important to their team, but he's not the only option they have up forward. Now, Adrian McBean's last game as coach of Rosebud, I thought the Buds were great for 3 quarters. Sean Downey must be a big chance of winning the medal. He was outstanding again. He doesn't have enough support. My question to you, Nick Jewell, how many players is he likely to bring across? How many players does he need to bring across for this team to be more competitive and maybe a top 5 team next year?
They need a key defender. Their kids are still working their way through that midfield, but they still need some help. And it depends how Bentley comes back. His first half of the season was amazing, and he was in my team of the year all the way up, but we only saw him for 7 or 8 games. Yes, Keegan Downey's he's up and about up forward, but they need a little bit more. He needs to mature a little bit more and become more consistent. So he needs a help out as well. So they probably do need those, a key forward, key back and another hand through the midfield to be really competitive week in, week out.
It'll be interesting how Nick goes about recruiting. He does know the league well. He's coached Rosebud before. He's coached Sorrento. So he'd have contacts left, right and centre. I did speak to him at the elimination final in 2nd Division at Ryan Sunday, and he said he won't be playing as much cricket this year. He said it'll be 1 in, 4 out. At this stage, it might change.
Main Ridge again, is it? Down the road?
I believe it'll be Main Ridge, the former Victorian opener, played in a number of Sheffield Shield winning finals teams, had a great relationship with the Australian opener Chris Rogers. Good player Nick Jewell he was as a cricketer.
He was.
And he said he's not going to play that much this year, so we'll see what happens there. And obviously he's got a lot of work to do regarding the recruiting to get his team up and about. And we congratulate Adrian McBean for what he achieved at Rosebud. It was a tough year this year, but Paul, they were pretty competitive throughout most of their matches, certainly for large periods of time.
Yeah, they were competitive, but you know, as Hulk just said, you know, they're missing a couple of key players there too. You know, and with there's young Husblake was playing Stingrays too, which was good for the club and good for him there too. But it was just they're missing a few there, and hopefully over the pre-season they'll pick some players up and, you know, be more competitive next year.
Well, if you have a look at their percentage too against the 2 other lower lights in Mornington and Seaford, they were about 10 or 15% off where they were. So when they were copying it, they were copying it.
Yeah, they were getting a hiding,
were pretty competitive. Yeah. And I reckon they probably had a better list than what Seaford did this year. I think Seaford had the worst list in the comp. I think Murph probably got the best out of them. But they've got a lot of work to do to maintain that 1st Division status, I think.
So we'll see what happens with Rosebud. That'll be an interesting one to watch in the off-season. We've spoken a bit about Sorrento and Edithvale Aspendale. They've just got to start better. I mean, 5 behind. They've had a lot of scoreless quarters, especially in the second half of the year, the Eagles. They just need to find a better forward combination. How do they go about that?
Well, the Bus hasn't played lately at centre-half forward, which is hard. Hewlett's had 6 games in a row in the seconds, but you can't get the points to put him in the side. So, and he was best on ground in the seconds on the weekend.
That's a real issue for them.
Lockie Batten was still injured, so he's got to come back, who's a goal kicker. They had Tim Mannix come back in this week, and he played okay. They've got a couple of things, but
Tommy Lamb, what's the go with Tommy Lamb?
Will stay out. He'll stay at Sandringham. He didn't play.
He played 1 game, and then he's gone back.
Helped them beat the Bombers. It was their only win in the last month, and they've lost to 3 top 5 sides. And if they're going to win the flag, they've got to beat them.
We said last week, we said make a statement, Edithvale, and see what you're all about. And they were competitive without getting the win. So what are you reading?
Still haven't won. No, not good enough.
And I looked at it today with the sides and had a look at them against YC. I wouldn't want to play YC in a final.
No.
If someone's going to knock them off, it's Edithvale on paper, but their form's not good enough at the moment, is it?
And they don't have the forwards either to put a lot of pressure on those 2 gun defenders. I mean, Omgarello and Barry are magnificent players. They'd be the best key defenders in the competition. I would have thought, and having not seen a lot of football, but I've seen a little bit in the second half of the year, if that makes sense, another oxymoronic comment from the great Dan Lonigan. But Chris Ongarello and Byron Barry are wonderful, wonderful players. And I mean, against Bond Beach, in a match that they probably should have lost by more, and I called that game for GameFace that day, they just kept stemming the tide and stemming the tide and stemming the tide. And while they're there, and unless Edithvale Aspendale can find a lot of avenues for goal, I'm not sure they're going to be able to get the job done. But we will talk more about that, of course, a little bit later on when we go through our tips. Now, it's good that a number of clubs are represented in all three finals in First Division. In the elimination final, it's Edithvale and Frankston YCW. In the qualifying final, it's Mount Eliza and Pines. In the reserves, in the elimination final, it's Frankston YCW and Sorrento. In the qualifying final, Seaford, despite their poor season in the seniors, have done well to qualify for the double chance. In the reserves, they play Edithvale Aspendale. And in the under-19s, it's Frankston Bombers up against Mornington in the elimination final, and it's Edithvale Aspendale against Frankston YCW. So Edias, Mount Eliza and Frankston YCW boys, good clubs, have got all teams in the finals. Mornington get a team in, Seaford get a team in, the Bombers get a team in, Sorrento have got a couple of teams in. So as I say, there's a good mix, Paul and Chris, right across the board.
It's good for the league that there's different clubs there too, and you get more support down there at the games there too. I know years ago when YCA had all their teams in, Mount Eliza team, the league didn't like that. Now, they wanted to have more clubs in there get involved, and which is great. It's great for the league and it's great for supporters, as I said then. And the Mount Eliza Pines game is on the RPP too. That's big.
It is, yes, and it'll be streaming on, of course, GameFace as well, Paul. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so that'll be good.
I think it's going to be interesting too that it's sort of the first time that we're going to get a couple of weeks in a row where we go back to the local ground. So we go back to a Chelsea, we go back to Mornington for 2 weeks in a row, and we don't see Frankston Park until prelim final.
That's correct.
And it's going to change a few games. If I was tipping, and we'll go into it a bit later, but you're talking about Pines, who are great in close with Mount Eliza, a great outside team. They're playing at Mornington. It's a tiny oval. Playing at Frankston, you think about it a little bit differently. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting, that dynamic. And Chelsea's not a big ground either.
Chelsea's a small ground, very small ground too, and can be windy.
Why is Chelsea have the right to have a First Division final when they're a Second Division club?
I can't answer it because
I can't either, mate.
They're not in our division. I don't know why they're getting.
Don't know why.
If they want to get that game, they should have been in Second Division and played a Second Division final there. There's plenty of grounds in First Division that they could have played on. Rosebud. What's wrong with Rosebud?
Well, no, the reason why, and Lockie White said this to us a couple of weeks ago, the president at Rosebud, he said they would have been certainties, and there's no doubt looking background, if their change rooms were finished. And the change rooms are still being built, and he was hoping they'd be finished by the start of the finals or by the end of the home and away season. We were there a few weeks ago doing interviews with the club, and they were fantastic. And they still hadn't quite finished the change rooms. They were about 3/4 of the way through, so they're not ready. If they were up and about, no doubt, Rosebud would have been a venue this week.
Well,
you've got to look at a ground that's fenced off properly, parking, everything available. That's for the public to go and see the game matches. Mornington's, as you know, Chris, been in the years. It's got it round there with a netball too at the back. Chelsea, they're sort of roped off, nice and tight there too. Rye, I think Rye's one of the best grounds down there. There's facilities too down there. If Rosebud had their rooms there, I'd be a certainty. That they would have been down there for sure.
I'm actually excited because Mornington have never hosted finals before down there in my time.
It's been criticised a bit, hasn't
it? If you go down and have a look down, you'll be down there, obviously.
I can't. I've got the Sefnal finals for
I'll be down there.
I'll be down there. How it goes. But it's a little velodrome of excitement. So you'll get a huge crowd in there, and the atmosphere there will be fantastic.
Cars all around the ground.
Excellent.
They'll lose about 20 footballs down towards the Safeway end because
I'll be taking them. I'll send the kids
sit there. As soon as the goal
they do, don't they?
I
heard about that. I've never seen the footy down there, but I haven't heard about that, Paul. Now, congratulations to Kobe Villas in the under-19 goal kicking, because Sam Hart, we had him on the program a few weeks ago when we were up at the pub that is one of their major sponsors now, the Bay Hotel in Mordialloc, and he looked like he was very relaxed about it. We was going to win the goal kicking, Sam, and he kept hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, but he hadn't kicked a lot of goals in recent weeks. And Kobe Villas kicked 10 and he's overhauled him and won the goal kicking. So congratulations to him.
Great effort.
And that's a wonderful end to the season for the Frankston Bombers. And he'll be hoping he takes that form into the under-19 elimination final. And that'll be on this week, of course. And he'll come up against the young fellow who actually won the Best Player Award for GameFace. Ryan Rose. 49 votes. And he played very well in the final home and away game of the season. It was pretty tight in the Under-19's Best Player Votes Award throughout the year, having tallied them and then also doing the voiceovers for our footy show. So they'll be mentioned on the awards night and they'll be presented on the awards night. So it'll be interesting to see how the best player goes, Ryan Rose, against the leading goal kicker.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Toby Villas.
I was surprised with Ryan Rose not playing more senior football this year. He played probably 3, 4, 5 games underneath me the year before at Mornington as a bottom age player. Held himself in good stead, got the best I think one day. So, and I don't think he's had many opportunities at Mornington this year in the seniors. So I know he's got the ability, and you've seen that. Obviously, he's dominated that 19s competition.
Well done.
He'll be right for senior football next year.
Now, often when a footy club ends its season, it's Mad Monday, but obviously down here they've brought in Silly Sunday. Now, this is gold. Not sure whether Troy Schwartz would see the funny side of this.
It's been approved though.
It's been approved.
It's been approved.
By
Yeah, well, by Leaper Hulkie, who runs Sorrento. He does run Sorrento. He's the man in charge down there.
He's the Shire of Sorrento.
Yeah, he's the Shire of Sorrento. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
When you want something done.
Now,
Speak to the man.
a Rosebud player at Silly Sunday decided that he would do what Troy Schwartz did a year or so ago with the late great Andrew Tope Hunt Kelly.
Correct.
When he appeared on an interview with Tope Hunt with all the premiership cups he had, and this is what happened.
Oh, here we are. Dan Lonigan from GameFace. It's amazing who you run into. I'm just waiting for the ferry. I'm just having a beer at the Sorrento pub and run into an old club legend. Troy Schwartz, how are you, mate?
Oh, geez, g'day, Dan. How you going, mate? Just, down there having a quiet coffee, obviously 6 of my best mates. And, mate, hopefully fucking maybe 7 in the near future. A bit of trophy hunting, if you want to call it that. But,
Yeah, good stuff. Great stuff. And well done to that Rosebud player. Very smart indeed. And
that's
the
good.
boys having a lot of fun. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
When Coringal's season ends, Chris, I don't know whether you've heard this, but when their season ends, their Silly Sunday, or whenever their season ends, their Mad Monday, 3 of their players, because they all go and dress up, Shillong started that.
Yeah.
One is going as Chris Holcomb, one is going as Tony Blackford, and one is going as the ugliest man in radio, in Dan Lonigan. I don't know whether he's shaving his head or he's getting one of those...
The swimming cap.
Yeah, one of the swimming caps.
We've got to get the camera for that one, boys. We've got to get the camera for that.
Yeah, and I think what they have to do too, they need to do what happened to me at Berwick on Sunday. And what happened to me at Berwick on Sunday was that I've got nooks and crannies and craters and everything at the top of my skull, Chris. I've had lots of skin cancers removed, and as usual, I'm an unmade bed. I was an unmade bed getting here to Red Hill tonight, and when we first came here unintentionally, so I didn't know how to get here the first time, and then we went a long way back to Rosebud the second time down Arthur Seat, and I drove a bit quickly, and poor old coach almost had conniptions and fell out of the car. But anyway, I was getting out of the car at Berwick, and we were running a bit late as usual.
Yeah.
And I went to get all my stuff out of the back seat, and I banged my head on the door, and you couldn't. The top of my head, and if you can see on the camera, and as I was walking in, I had blood spurting everywhere. Everyone said, "Are you all right, Dan? Are you all right?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Going beautifully. No, I knew I had it. I knew I was in more trouble than a one-legged man in a room full of rocking chairs, or words to that effect anyway. But what happened was they all helped me. Can I thank the Berwick Football Club, if they're having to watch us tonight, for doing the job by making sure that they stitched me up. But I was going well. But that's just me. I'm an unmade bed. I'm a walking disaster zone. It's always going to happen. Talking of a walking disaster zone, not really though. We'll go to a break and be back with Tony Blackford. He's on the road trying to get access to Mount Eliza, YCW, Edithvale, Aspendale and Pines in the lead up to the First Division finals. Low Farms, the Australian grower and supplier of rocket, lettuce, spinach and salad mixes.
Frankston RSL, Frankston's function and restaurant specialist.
In the First Division goal kicking after the home and away season, Aaron Edwards of Pines in the seniors has won the goal kicking. A big day for the former AFL player. He kicked 7 to finish with 59 at the end of the home and away season with finals to come. Trent Dennis Lane of Bond Beach, 1 goal, 46. Jordan Moncrief of Mount Eliza joins him on 46 after 3 in their draw against Frankston YCW. Lee Paholke of Sorrento, 2 to move to 45. And Jackson Calder of Mornington ends the season with 41 after a 3-goal haul in the Dogs' narrow victory over Seaford. In the reserves, Michael Chaplin of YCW has been in front all year. He kicked 2 goals to end the year with 41. Tom Loney of Seaford, none, 27. Reece Chalkley Pines, none, 20. And Jake O'Neill of Edithvale Aspendale, also no goals, stays on 18. In the under-19s, after Sam Hart of Edithvale Aspendale have been the leader for a large portion of the second half of the season, Kobe Villas has stormed home to win the goal kicking at the end of the home and away season with a 10-goal haul on the weekend for the Bombers. He finishes with 41. Sam Hart, Edithvale Aspendale was goalless, stays on 36. Josh O'Toole of Frankston YCW, none, 31. Sam Sturt of Mount Eliza, of course, has been playing seniors, remains on 25. And Joel Nichols of Pines, 3 to go to 24. We are live from the Red Hill Football Club Division 1 football show for GameFace. Great to be here. Dan Lonigan, Paul Wilson and Chris Holcomb. No Tony Blackford tonight. I mentioned a bit earlier, he is out and about tonight. Glenn's got him working really hard. Not that he doesn't work hard, Blackers, but out and about getting some vision of some of the First Division clubs playing in the finals this week. Here's what he did.
It's finals time. Get your GameFace on.
Yeah, we're wrapped to be part of the 2018 finals in a really even comp. We said that right from the word go, that to make finals we had 8 teams this year who'd played finals in 2017, and to be mixing them into business end of the year, we're really happy with. Looking forward to getting down to Mornington and taking on Mount Eliza. It'll be obviously a big game, and both sides will give themselves every opportunity. And yeah, I guess can't wait to get the hill rocking at Mornington, and all our supporters get around us, and we'll have a ripper weekend. We're going to have to really be on our game there and make sure that we come to play. Really, that's going to be the big one for us. And if we do all those little things right, we'll be more than in the game.
It's finals time. Get your GameFace on.
It's finals time. Get your GameFace on.
Here we are down at Mount Eliza Footy Club, Tuesday night, first week of finals. I'm here with Warren Drew, who does the football analysis and reviews. This week you're playing Pines at the Mornington Football Ground. Wonderful occasion for the club, isn't it?
Brilliant. Yeah, look, it's something we're very much looking forward to. It's been a year that we've had a lot of change, but
especially at the start of the year.
Yeah, a lot. And to be honest, I think probably a lot of people weren't too sure where we'd sort of be
at this time of the year.
Yeah. So to have our 19s, our development squad, and obviously the seniors finish up in second, has been a great effort by everyone involved.
Here I am with Mount Eliza's Geordie Moncrief. 3 goals on the weekend, mate. Hopefully you can kick a few more during the finals campaign.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's always good to kick a couple goals, but we've had a really good spread this year, so it doesn't really matter if I kick goals or if I don't.
It's going to be a wonderful finals campaign, isn't
Anyone
it?
Can win, can't
everyone
they?
Can. Yeah, that's what we think. We think everyone can win this.
Absolutely.
This year, and it's going to be no open book. Well, good luck this weekend, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's going to be a wonderful day for football, mate. Not like the last couple of weeks where it's been wet and windy.
Yeah.
You got 18 degrees and a bit of sunshine.
Yeah, I need a bit of help with my kicking.
It's finals time. Get your GameFace on.
It's finals time. Get your GameFace on.
Here we are down at YCW.
Great man.
Wayne Cap. Wonderful time of year when finals are about, Cappy. It's been a different year for you.
Yep.
You know, you dropped 6 in the middle of the season, but you were able to sneak into finals and into the 5th spot.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It is exciting. We're all up and about. You know, all 3 teams are in again this year, which is fantastic, and you know, it just feels different. The boys have been pretty good. Form's been pretty good the last month and a half.
What about the list, mate? Will most of the boys be available this week?
Yeah, we're still...
2 boys. Jake Lovett's still down at the Dolphins.
Yeah, Jake is at Dolphins. We're not unsure if he's going to be released or not. and one of the boys at Footscray as well.
Yep.
So we just have to wait and see about those. But
Minchington,
will definitely play.
Yep.
We've got Riley Hodgson back.
McLeod's out for one more week.
Yeah, Scooter's going to miss another one, unfortunately.
Yep.
We've been waiting a long time to get close to our full team available.
Well, good luck, mate. It's an exciting time. It's a year this year where 5 sides can win it.
Oh, definitely. There's so even, and every team should be going in with some real confidence.
Well done.
Thanks,
good luck, mate.
No worries. Thank you. It's finals time. Get your game face on.
Yes, no Blackers tonight. Back next week. He did a lot for this football club down here, boys, didn't he? He was coach here for 4 years. And I had a long chat to Josh Beard, who's coach of Langwarrin after their win, and we'll talk more about it in second division. That Blackers, you could say, could take a lot of credit. Not that he's that sort of guy, is he, Paul?
No, he's not.
For having the club going in the right direction. They made the finals 4 years in a row. There might have been a breakdown in communication about him wanting to go on again for a 5th year. They went out and got Jamie Molo as coach. But I think without Blackers, you could say that the club wouldn't be in the position they're in now to have a real crack at a premiership this year. Josh was his assistant coach. He ended up going to Langwarrin. He wanted to be a joint coach, and of course they've got Blake McCormack out in the field and Josh as a non-playing coach and doing a great job. That's why he left Red Hill, and he left Red Hill with great terms and feeling really good about what he achieved at the club. And he said that with the list they had, with the under-19s they've got and dominating the competition, that they should be in a position to push for a grand final berth this year, Paul. Well, they're going to get pretty close, I would have thought.
He planted the seed here probably when he first came here, and he had a lot of youth with the players there, and he got some senior players too there, but the junior kids come through there, and as they see, like now 4 years later, here they are playing in finals, and most of their kids in the senior team, the kids are in the senior team. So
the under-19s are not just winning.
Oh no, they are thrashing them too. Under-19s, don't worry about that. They're a very, very strong team, and I can't see them. We're going later on. I can't see them sort of losing their grand final.
I mean, we were at Dramana a few weeks ago, Chris, and their under-19 coach, his great saying is, we've all got 2 arms and legs. He knew they weren't going to get near Red Hill in the under-19s, but his attitude was, we've got to come up with a game plan to restrict them, to stop them, and keep to that game plan. Now, that makes it a bit tough for a great competition, but you've also got to admire a team who is as good as that. But we have seen it many, many times where teams dominated a comp and then fallen apart in the finals. Again, we'll talk more about that a bit later in the Division 2 show, but Blackers obviously was heavily involved in helping set up a good culture down here. So well done to him, and we look forward to having him back on the panel next week. We'll take a break on the GameFace Footy Show Division 1, and we'll come back with a pretty important announcement from one of the teams who've missed out in the finals this year, Bond Beach.
Websites, videos, Google marketing, SEO. What do you need for your business? Call the team at Chill. They really know their stuff.
Dynamic Staffing Solutions. We act immediately to supply your business with quality staffing and labour solutions. You First Real Estate. Call 5925 9278 or visit youfirstrealestate.com.au. We're at Red Hill for the Division 1 GameFace Footy Show. Dan Lonigan, Chris Holcomb and Paul Wilson with you. I'm dressed in a suit, and I've always thought, my late father told me, and you guys are dressed like Pox Doctors Clarks, but 1 out of 3 ain't bad, boys. I was at a funeral, mind you, but I plan to wear a suit every week now, so I hope you guys will follow suit. My late father used to always say, if you look the part, you are the part.
Yeah, Ron Barassi said, pull your socks up, son, and look like a footballer, but you can't play like a footballer.
Well, he did say that. He did exactly say that. And Crackers Keenan, one of the great lines from Crackers Keenan was in the 1977 grand final when he's walking around after they won the flag. He wore the same socks throughout the finals campaign, didn't wash them. He said he threw, they said, Crackers, throw your socks in. So he threw 2 socks in and 1 came back.
Boomerang.
One of the great men, Crackers. Love him dearly. Good on you, Crackers. Now, Steve Hughes, this is one of the big announcements at Bond Beach. Expected to stay on another year at Bond Beach. It was a bit...
That's good.
I suppose touch and go a couple of weeks ago. We spoke to him on the show when we did the show at Coringal, and he was a bit unsure. He's got a young son who's close to playing football, wants to see him play, which is fair enough, and he's got obviously a lot of work commitments, as many of these guys do. But I think it's a good decision by Bond Beach, even though the season fell away in the last couple of weeks.
The good thing is, I think it wasn't a decision that either side were unhappy with. Everyone was communicating well through the whole process. They knew Hughesy had struggles with commitments outside. They wanted him to coach. He wanted to coach. So it's great that he can get another 12 months out of it because Palm Beach are a really strong club and it won't take much to flick them and get them into a top 5 next year.
They're a couple of players away, aren't they? Just a couple of players away from being up there.
Well, they didn't have McDonald all year.
No,
so he was out all year.
Yeah, so that's pretty. He's a tough one.
Yeah, they didn't have Dylan Jones all year. There's 2 players that are fairly handy.
Yeah, so get those players back in. They're pretty handy players, and they can change that whole team. With them playing, with Trent Dennis Lane at full forward, well, Macca would have laced him up 20 more times.
And what you
he was wonderful, Trent Dennis.
You want to try and get Mitch Gent back from Casey. He was in the best again at Casey on the weekend. When they made their run, he was in the best 6 weeks in a row and had a crack and then got called back to Casey. And funnily enough, they dropped their last 2. So he's an important part if they can get him back through. Who's that?
Mitch Gent, to be a regular player at VFL level.
Yeah, he is at VFL level, but it's whether or not he's got the passion to be a VFL player or if his dream of that AFL thing's gone and he can go back to the local footy. So I don't think, this is my opinion anyway, mate, that I don't think people are career VFL footballers anymore. It takes a really rare person to be a career VFL footballer because there's no crowds there, there's no excitement.
The atmosphere is different.
You're playing against seconds who've got other priorities. It's just not the same.
You're not training with them all the time and that too. Like the old days, you think play VFL, you play under 19s or and you VFL and go to VFL and go, oh, good, I'm playing VFL footy.
Exactly.
Now, well, you know, the coach is getting phone calls at 3:30 or 4 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon saying, we want him and our team at Casey and him at Frankston. And then all of a sudden the boys go, the teams go...
Yeah, they're even in the middle of team meetings, Paul.
Team meetings, they ring up.
And they're thinking, we've got our team and all written down. No, we need you to leave this player off and you can have this player, but you can't have that player. And then all of a sudden they've got to select the side again and it takes forever.
That's not how footy's played. It's not how you invest in it and get them through. And even if they do play in the finals, there's people getting dragged out left, right and centre and all that sort of thing.
And the point system and all sort of things like that.
Can I also bring up a point? Paul Roos on the couch during the week on Fox Footy talked about a team like Gold Coast getting players who have played a lot of good VFL footy, experienced campaigners, who might be good enough to at least develop a culture in a football club like the Gold Coast with a bit of experience and guide the young players on and just allow the Gold Coast a crack at 4 or 5 of those sort of players.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, Essendon had the replacements when they had
all their... But they were all AFL players, and some of them have actually stayed on, like Mitch Brown and Matt D, etc.
Exactly. And look, I think that's a great idea. But like I said with the Mitch Jet situation, you get to a point where you've got those players at clubs and they're 26, 27, the AFL dream's over. Go back and play 6-7 years of local football,
footy.
win some premierships, get that bond together.
How old's Mitch Jet? He's about 26, 27.
It's about that. Also, just a quick shout out. The first time in team of the week last week, Tommy Freeman at Mount Eliza had his first game at Casey in the seniors on the weekend.
Good on him.
He was in the best.
Oh, good on him.
So fantastic job.
Could he make
it? He's young enough, and by all reports, both kids, him and Jimmy, are going really well.
Jimmy played at Mount Eliza on last week. Yeah, Tommy played at...
Who's older, Jimmy?
Jimmy is.
1 year.
By 1 year.
Yeah, so 19 and 20 or something like that.
They're like 19 and 20. So they've got plenty of time. And hopefully they stick it out and go from there. Whereas probably on the other hand, you've got a club like Frankston who on the weekend were absolutely horrible and scored a goal.
And the last 30 minutes.
And by all
reports, last quarter.
It's
got a goal.
See, that arrangement can't work. Just quickly on that, because Adam Skrovalek is the ruck coach. He used to coach East Geelong in the Geelong Football League. He's a ruck coach at St Kilda. And he's taken Louis Pearce with him to play for Frankston, and now he's got in the St Kilda side late in the year and he's done well. That'd be one of the great achievements of Skrovalek. But the rest of the St Kilda players trying to get into the senior team are at Sandringham. I know that's an argument for another day, but to me, you can't be two masters.
I don't think. 3 clubs.
That goes the argument on VFL football.
It does.
How do you invest yourself emotionally into the concept that's like that? It's just disgraceful. The thing I got
very confusing, isn't it?
Frankston is, and I'm all for it. I'm an ex-Frankston player, and I loved them coming back in the competition. I don't want to see them out, but their whole thing when they come back was their relationship with MPNFL clubs and their communication. And by all reports, it's been disgraceful.
No, it has.
Hasn't worked. Hasn't worked.
It was just...
Hasn't worked a bit.
No, it hasn't worked a bit. So they need to have a look at that for next year.
Well, we're hoping to get Gary Buccanaro, who's a general manager, on the show
great
next
man,
week
Gary.
or so. He's a great man, Bucky.
Yep.
I had a lot to do with him in Perth when he used to broadcast the footy with me on the ABC, and what a player he was too. Just to get their view about what the relationship has been like, because I've heard a lot of criticism. Now, the No Regrets Boxing Challenge isn't that far away. It's early November. It's coming quickly. And Lockie Gilrenew from Bond Beach has called out Josh Bateman. He wants to take him on. How do you reckon that'll go?
It'll go like that. I reckon it'll be like that.
Little patty, little pats. You one of them, yeah, one, I have one.
I reckon there
You
are
like me?
I reckon there are a couple of mates calling each other out.
Putting your hand over your face. Now, some updates on that. Chad Harris from Sorrento is out. He's going to Bali. Is that a good excuse? Maybe.
Well.
Now, Glenn Carter, our boss, is meeting with Jack Gipp. Now, Jack Gipp can seriously go. We had him on the footy show at Germana a couple of weeks ago, and he's trainer this week. Can we just say to players out there now, you would not be boxing Jack Gipp. We're hoping to get Jack Gipp a professional fight. He wants a professional fight. His trainer wants a professional fight. It certainly won't be me being the professional fighter. Thank you very much, Coach. You're pointing at me. I'm standing at like a carpet snake in a fowl house here. You cannot possibly have me go out there and fight. Now, it's not too late to register to get a representative from your club involved. It's $5,000 for a club. What happens is that if you register a player, there's an opportunity for you to go into a draw, and one club will be drawn out and they'll win $5,000. How much? Read my lips. Eddie Murphy from the movie, of course, Beverly Hills. Read my lips, $5,000. Very, very good money. So there's an opportunity there. If you want a player from your team involved in the No Regrets Boxing Challenge, $5,000 could be yours to win. Now, Chris, Seaford, at this stage, relegation if they finish bottom, but maybe not.
Well, that's what I thought, and I had a great discussion with Murph, who we're hoping to get on the show next week. I had a chat with him, and we're hoping
Andrew Murphy?
No, Ben.
Ben Murphy.
Okay.
Sorry, Andrew.
Robert.
Yep. Older or younger?
He would be older.
Similar sort of player?
Only just. Oh, I didn't see much of Murph play actually, but ripping bloke and one of the best coaches in the MPNFL. So hopefully we'll get him in next week to get some insight. But what I was amazed with, we've talked about the relegation stakes and whether Cranbourne's going to come in or not, and we always thought that Division 1 would stay as a 10-team competition, but there's a little whisper that it may not. It may be that if Cranbourne come in, Seaford avoid relegation, Division 1 go to 12 teams. And
with the winner of Division 2 going up.
With the winner of Division 2 going up as well.
Yeah. So Red Hill win the flag.
Yep.
They come up.
They come up. Seaford stay up.
Stay up.
Cranbourne come in, and you've got no bye, but you've got 12 sides. So you don't play each other twice. You'd be a couple you miss out on the second time around. And then Division 2 will be 11 teams, I think it is, roughly. Yeah. Which was a point that we hadn't really covered before. We hadn't thought that they'd take that.
I'm more comfortable with that, actually.
That could work.
Do you think the Frankston Bombers of the world, Sorrento and Mount Eliza, we know McDunn's definitely against it, and he wants, and I thought more about this after we spoke to him last week, that he wants the league to come up with a plan about how it would work. He doesn't believe the league has come up with a plan. And look, he's right there.
Yeah,
but I think 12 clubs work better than 11. Why can't they?
Because they've said, we've had John Anderson on before saying that they've got their hands tied. They can't approach sides to come into the competition. So,
but they can still say to the clubs, "This is how we think it's going to work."
I think without putting it in writing, I think they've said that that's what they want to happen.
Yeah. Well, they need to put it in writing, don't they?
I don't think they.
Well, we won't know about Cranbourne until end of the month.
No.
Yeah. So that's, you know. We don't know what's going with him. So if Cranbourne, all of a sudden they're in.
Well, they need 75%. They've got 15 at the moment,
I'll give you another take on that as well. I was speaking to someone from Southeast Victoria, and I won't name names.
No names, don't take rules.
If the vote doesn't get to 75% and Cranbourne are left out in the cold and they don't want to play up there, it'll go to the AFL, and the AFL will just throw them in the comp anyway. It won't be up to, they'll throw them in the MPNFL. It won't even be up
to. So do the clubs that are against it, do they know that? They do know that.
Well, I don't know, but this is a word I got from a person straight inside Southeast Vic.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough too. I mean, I think they need to be in the Mornington Peninsula Football League. No doubt about that.
There's no. Also, with the interesting thing I got with Seaford is, now they've had a lot of challenges, and Murphy might talk about them this year. But going out to Belvedere, not having a home ground, and you haven't been out there before. It's parkland. It's not a football oval.
What's the old St Kilda?
Yeah, so where they've got Linden House out there, but they're playing on a back oval. It's a
There's 3 ovals there.
There's no fencing.
Why aren't they playing on the front oval? Can't they put sponsorship up there?
They don't. When St Kilda were there, they said you've got those 2 other ovals back there. You've got that oval there, Super Footy Club. St Kilda Club trained on here still, and you can't use our main St Kilda.
Wasn't that? I know it's a story for another day. Hasn't that been a disaster for the Saints going down there? Should have started Rabbit in the first place.
The thing with it too is, how do you take a gate take when you've got no fence?
Correct. So there's actually no fence.
No, you can park on the side of the street. Yeah.
You just walk in there from any angle that you want. So how do you take a gate? They didn't. Seaford did not take a gate this year.
And they've got the temporary lights there too.
So they're obviously struggling financially.
Well, this is why they think there may be some reimbursement through from V-Line or through the state government, because they've taken their ground for that development. So they're hoping to recoup some money.
It's the same with the cricket club too. When it first started, that they're doing the roads there, they were offered this amount of money, and so the footy club through there. Cricket club said, "Okay, we'll take this money." But then they realised the footy club got more. Then they had a bit of a trouble there.
Well, the gate taking sort of a football club, I don't know, 40, 50,000, let's say, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. You've got to pay your bills.
So hopefully it all works out for Seaford. But hopefully we talk to him next week about it.
See, I didn't know about that. I mean, that it is as bad as that you can just walk in.
Yeah. No, the thing with Seaford too, I'll lead Murph into this hopefully next week. Last week, their best young player, Howlett, who's all around team of the year, sort of talk, ACL.
ACL? Gone for a year.
Yeah, Rourke Fisher was another young gun of theirs, didn't play for
He's their key position player, Howlett, isn't he?
Yeah, Howlett was. Fisher, he only played about 4 or 5 games this year. He's on Frankston's VFL list. Dean Williamson, who was their best player of the year by a mile, who win their BNF, he's retiring, he said after the game. The only good, really positive note is Terrich, who was their ruckman this year. He's going to have another year, so he'll be sticking around. But Murph's a cracker, and we hope to get him on next week.
And we've got to find some players, and we look forward to speaking to Ben Murphy. Good on you, Chris. Thanks for that. Good to hear about Seaford as well. And we know they've had a lot of issues, a lot more than I thought as well, as I still learn about everything going on in this magnificent competition. We'll take a break and back with the tips for the first weekend of the finals in Division 1. And boys, get your thinking caps on. We want your flag prediction as well in the first division.
Don't know.
Pencon Garden Supplies and Mini Mix Concrete is a family-owned business that has served the Mornington Peninsula magnificently for more than 50 years. For all your garden and building supplies, concrete, soil, sand and mulch, visit Bart and the team at 58 Peninsula Avenue Rye or call 5985 2252 or 5985 2998.
In the GameFace Best Players Award for season 2018, Sean Downey of Rosebud has won it. An outstanding year for Sean Downey. He polled in most games, another 6 votes in his side's loss on the weekend to finish with 72. 7 ahead of Joel Miller of Mornington, another very consistent performer. He ended with 65, another 6-vote game. Mitch Hallahan of Sorrento, 4 votes to be 57. Jason Kingsbury of the Bombers, 3 to end the year on 48. Nick Marston of Sorrento, 1 to be 47. Kyle Hutchison of YCW, 3. He finished with 46 at the end of the home and away season. Paul Scanlon of Pines, the 40-year-old veteran. His team having a wonderful back half of the year. They're right in contention to win a premiership, 6 votes to be on 45. In the reserves, Jacob Beggs of Pines has won the Best Player Award thanks to GameFace. 6 votes to end on 62. 12 ahead of the rest of the field. Ben Sharman of the Bombers, 4 to go to 50. Reese DeGood of the Bombers, 6 to go to 42. And Jared Douglas of Bond Beach, 4 to finish with 40. In the under-19s, Ryan Rose of Mornington, 2 votes to finish with 49. Carl Daff of Seaford, 3, he got 45. Tom Reeves of Bond Beach, 6 votes to finish on 43. Nick Sakalis of Rosebud, no vote, stays on 42. Joseph Ryan of the Bombers also didn't pick up a vote, he finishes with 40. Welcome back to the GameFace Footy Show. It is, of course, Division 1. We're at the Red Hill Football Club. Wonderful to be here, and they're certainly gearing up for finals. The Hillmen having only ever won 1 premiership back in 1990. We'll get to them a little bit later as we continue on with Division 1. Now, the Seniors Coach of the Year, we nominated 3 coaches. Troy Shannon, Graham Yates and Paddy Swain. Here's Paddy's reaction to being named as maybe a candidate for Coach of the Year.
Have you noticed that you've been nominated as the GameFace Coach of the Year, and if so, what do you got to say about that, Paddy?
Oh, obviously it's nice to get recognised, but I think all the coaches do a fantastic job in our comp. It's a tough job, and all the assistant coaches do a great job. So if I get nominated for Coach of the Year, it'll be shared with all our assistants and support staff. So yeah, I'm wrapped with it.
Well said, and good luck on the weekend.
Thank you.
He's done a great job with the Pines Football Club. The second half of the year has been brilliant. They've got Dean Laidley on board. I'm sure that's helped them improve as well. And
I couldn't believe that. Walking out at Mornington the other day, and
he was there.
The little line
He's
coaches.
Not there every week, but he's there most
usually
weeks.
you see a little helper or a bloke on the side doing the forwards, and you've got Dean Laidley. And I've tried to nestle in and have a chat, and I'll have a listen to what he's saying. He kept it pretty basic for what they were trying to do, but it's fantastic.
It's working well.
Yeah.
And Pines are in form.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's whatever he's doing with Paddy.
Yeah.
And the club and the players are listening.
Amazing,
it's working very well.
He's very good in the box in that he tells the assistant coach to speak up more, speak up more, speak up more. Tell Paddy what you want. Give Paddy a bit more support, and that's I think what they've needed, and it has really helped them turn their season around the second half of the year. And Troy Shannon, what a great job he's done. Graham Yates, I think it's fallen apart a bit for Mount Eliza, but anyway, I still think Yates has done well for Edias to keep them in contention. But anyway, I may be proven very wrong with Edias, and if I want to have a drink with them, I'm sure they'll kick me out. We'll see what happens. Under-19s Coaches of the Year, what do you think, boys? Paul Goonan, Mount Eliza, going well. Steve Stella, Jackson Pines, missed out in the finals, but they're now becoming more competitive in under-19 footy, which is something their president, Jeff Svigos, guys, wanted to do. And Aaron Martello at EDS has done a very good job with that team.
Can I just say on that, how many clubs are pleading for people who have played a lot of senior football at their club and to come back and reinvest in their youth, try and teach them how to play? Oh, that list.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Well, Gooch played at obviously at YCW, and he's been at Mount Eliza for the last 3 or 4 years, the juniors, first year under-19s. And his son Luke is playing Stingrays.
Yeah.
Stella is a great man, a school teacher too, and he taught my boy cricket in the grand final one time too. But then
father of 5 sons, isn't he?
Oh, you go around, you come around for a little drink. All of a sudden, these kids says, "Oh, can I have a $5? What
Aaron,
for?"
Even though I didn't like playing against Aaron, he's a good fella.
He was
a good player.
He was a good player. Let's just say he threw his weight around a bit. Good play. Very
all right,
good
boys.
play,
Let's look at the tips. Edith Val Aspendale and Frankston YCW.
Well, I've been on Edith Val all year. Asked them to make a statement the last 2 weeks. Haven't been able to do it. YC drew against Mount Eliza last week. I reckon that YC might get over them. I reckon YC
I think
there.
they will, sir.
And watch out for a little bloke, Matty Lafontaine. He's starting to play some very good football.
Played all right last week.
He does. He does play all right.
Played a couple of games at Frankston, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he was going to have a massive breakout year. Pre-season, he was going to be anything. They were talking rookie lists, and it just quite hasn't worked out for him at Frankston. But he's starting to play good footy back at YC. So I think
he's one of those guys that Gold Coast could invest in, couldn't they? As someone who's had a bit of experience in senior footy.
I think they might probably look at someone a bit more experienced that has a culture base. That's played 7-8 years of VFL that's trying to straighten them up.
You got to look at that.
But I think they've got enough young kids.
Now, Mount Eliza and Pines, you are a Mount Eliza man, Paul, so I expect you to go for Mount Eliza.
I'll be going for Mount Eliza there. They'll get a few players back, hopefully. And even though it's on a small ground at Mornington, it probably won't suit them. And Pines, then a big ground too there, so it'll be interesting. Like I said before, Aaron Edwards kicked 10 last week. He's in form. We just mentioned that Paddy and the coach and that are good, and it'll be a great game.
I think Pines are flying, and I think they can beat Sorrento the next week and go through to the grand final.
Yeah, well, let's take care of this week first. Mate.
Yes, I'll do that.
They're all 1 week at a time.
Bit premature.
I'm the master of the big statement. It comes back to bite me.
Comes out the barrier. Bang.
Last month has been cracking. Seriously. Potsy's back from overseas. He's 1 week back in the seniors. He was in the best. Bongetti's over his calf injury. He's been down and seen Dr. Death, and he's rubbed it out with George.
Ready to go.
I am. He's brilliant, Dr. Death.
And then you've got Aaron, who's just starting to hit some form, coming right. Paul Scanlon was best on the weekend. Fisher's in form. He's a shutdown back.
Henry boys.
You've got Boswell, who's running through the back line. No one can stop him at the moment. all the momentum's with Pines, I think, and on that small ground, very dangerous.
Yeah, I think they'll win. I think they'll win quite comfortably.
Ooh.
Frankston, YCW and Sorrento in the reserves, going for the Stonecats. Sorrento have done pretty well this year in the reserves. No good in the under-19s, but that's a story for another day. But Frankston, YCW will win the reserves.
I think I'll go Sorrento.
Okay.
Yeah, I reckon they'll need to get a few people in form through that seconds. I reckon they'll win Sorrento.
That's in the elimination final.
It is.
And in the qualifying final, Seaford, good to see them do well in the reserves. Up against Edithvale Aspendale, I'll pick the Tigers to go through.
Edithvale, don't worry about that. They've got an ex-AFL player running around in there too, playing at centre forward, mate, kicking goals. Liam Hewlett's still playing there. So I think
2 years on the list at Melbourne, of course.
He's not like the seniors. He's
Nah.
played the last 6 or 7 in the twos and got best.
Well, he goes somewhere else next year. He might have to. I mean, they've got to get the point system right. I know Shane Walker's done a good job there, but they've got to get the point system right.
Or something like that. I can't see them retiring, but and look. Can we just say, like, obviously he's copping a bit over the fence during the game. It's a great effort for a bloke of that ilk to go back and just cop it on the chin and play seconds football and just enjoy it with his mates. A lot of blokes would just walk out of the club and
That's
say,
right. They'd walk out and say,
So-
it's like, I'm better than this. You know, I want to play that.
And I know for a fact that he's copping it over the fence week in, week out. I've seen it, I've heard it, and well done on just sticking around and seeing it out.
How
So you never know.
unfairly?
Well, it's like
How abusive?
Just the usual.
Just usual, normal stuff, mate.
That shouldn't be.
That's all right.
And in the under-19s, I think that's a form of bullying, which annoys me. Frankston Bombers up against Mornington in the elimination final. I'm going for Mornington. They'll get a few back, won't they? They've been playing senior footy.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
And the Mornington kids go all right. It should be a good game, actually. Bombers go all right as well, but I'll take Mornington.
Bombers.
We'll talk more about the Bombers next week. They've been a real disappointment in the last month of the season. And Edithvale Aspendale against Frankston YCW. The winner will move into the second semi-final. And this will be a very interesting game, won't it?
I'm going to take YC. I reckon that we nearly tipped opposite in every
We
game.
have. Yeah, I'm going for EDS. I'm going for EDS.
All year we've been very similar in our tips.
Yeah,
and we've just split come finals time. It's been amazing.
Well,
I think you jumped off. You're back on the Pines now, aren't you?
He's on the Pines. He was off them, and I'm off Edithvale Aspendale.
I was never off the Pines. I was critical of Pines. There's a massive difference.
Since they were critical,
now?
they've been sensational.
They have been.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mike Lang Warren.
Yeah.
Now, there's an opportunity, of course, to watch the Division 1 football on the weekend. This is how you can do it, the two finals in First Division. Now, you can watch the footy live on the GameFace app, and you can also be able to hear the RPP vision and sound on 98.7. So you can watch it live on the GameFace app and get the RPP vision and also sound, thanks to GameFace on the weekend.
Game,
yeah, of course, the big Mount Eliza game as they take on Pines in the qualifying final. Are they doing the elimination final as well?
No,
they're not.
No, they're doing the other final, I think, second division.
Okay.
The other one.
Which will be a terrific match. Now, I'm also going to be involved in calling footy on the weekend for GameFace on the Cefnal app, and that is Berwick and Cranbourne on Saturday. That match at Beaconsfield. Now, Berwick were brilliant last week in beating Narry Warren. The winner of that will play Narry Warren in the second semi. Cranbourne were disappointing in losing to Beaconsfield, and they're involved in the elimination final against Officer, who lost more games than they won, which indicates the Parlour State that competition is in, and it's last year as it is, the Cefnal, and it goes off and does something else next year. Most of the teams going to the Outer East competition, but Officer in their first final series for 15 years played Beaconsfield and will broadcast both those games for GameFace on the weekend. Now,
Is that at Beaconsfield?
No, the first game's at Beaconsfield, Berwick and Cranbourne. The game on Sunday's at Berwick, and Berwick looked after us on Sunday as well, despite the fact it was Arctic conditions, and they did look after me, of course, with the bleeding head that I had.
I was going to say, you bumped your scones.
Let's see what part of my body I can bleed next week, boys. Now, the grand final footy shows at the Frankston RSL on Wednesday, the 12th of September. We look forward to that. It should be absolutely fantastic. We will have, of course, guests from the two grand final teams, and also, of course, from the under-19s and reserves. Tips for the flag, boys.
Wow. Just throw a blanket over it, mate. Just throw a blanket.
No, that's not good enough. You're sitting on the fence there.
Rightio. Do you want me to tip the flag?
Yes, that's what I asked you.
Frankston YCW.
From 5th?
Yep.
They're doing a doggies.
Yep.
They've got to win this week.
Well, I will say this. You have been consistent with your views all year, so congratulations, Chris, but I don't think there are any chance. I think they'll get past Edias, but that'll be as far as they get. I'm going Pines. I think they can beat Sorrento. They beat them a couple of weeks ago. I think they've found form at the right time. Pines will win the flag for mine.
I'm going with Mount Eliza.
Of course you will.
But I think Pines are a very, very, very second.
No one's really been talking about Sorrento though, have they? Like, we sort of have them there and they're
Are we
up
putting
there.
our heart before our head a bit?
Oh, I think we are, to an extent. Or we're trying to be controversial. We're missing the big thing. They've finished on top by 2 games. They've got some of the best AFL talent in local football at the moment on the peninsula. Dawes and Hallahan are just outstanding. It's going to take a ridiculously good side on their day going home to beat Sorrento. Like, if I was serious and I had my money on the line, I'd take Sorrento. Pines are a chance. Everyone's a chance.
That's right.
But
on their day.
I'm telling you, Sorrento is going to be very hard to get past.
Well, we look forward to the finals underway this week. We'll have, obviously, the wash-up of that in the Division 1 Footy Show next week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you again soon. Have a great week in footy.